Hey, what is up everybody? Hope you had an amazing weekend. We got a patch notes up for Raid Shadow Legends, and as you can see here we have a bunch of new champions, including a new mythical champion. In this video we're going to go through the patch notes and we're going to have a look at these new champions. But to have a quick sneak peek at them, check this out. We get Polara, Fireheart, she's the new mythical champion. We also have her alternate form, pretty amazing, pretty good looking. Then we have Uzol of the Jade, a new Dwarf, Spirit Attack Legendary. Then we have Praeva the Slitherer, Demon Spawn Force Support Legendary. And we also have Niamhe, Spear of Neressa. She sounds very old school Gods of Olympus. Sylvian Watcher, Void Defense Legendary. And in this video I want to go with you through all the updates that are coming to Raid Shadow Legends as soon as 10.45. And that's going to be in a couple of days. So without further ado, I'm Mr. Man Plays. Welcome to my channel, Mr. Man Plays Raid. Let's have a look at this. The patch notes start strong. Straight up. Faction Wars hard mode. But for who? Who's going to be able to do hard mode? This is finally one of these updates for players who have been, for old players who have been complaining now that they don't really have what to do in the game and they got bored basically. Hard mode is for you. For me personally, which I'm like 6 months in the game, I haven't even finished easy mode. I'm still working towards it, so for those of you who are like I don't know, mid-game or like me, who have raid for like 6 months, don't expect to get through the hard mode. But let's have a read through this. At its core, the new difficulty for Faction Wars works as you could expect. Beat harder, crypt stages, and earn greater rewards. But it goes beyond fighting, tougher enemies, so let's take a closer look. Faction Wars hard mode. New Faction Wars challenges, as expected. Probably this is going to be super difficult with a bunch of very specific challenges for you to do. So if you don't have a bunch of champions leveled up to maximum and probably a lot of gears and a lot of sets, you might not be able to do some of these. We've had a look on one of the latest videos Hell Hades posted about Faction Wars, and he's actually explaining some of the new challenges, so you can always just go ahead and go check out his videos. I'll pin it in the description below for you if you're interested in Faction Wars. But let's check the rewards, because this is probably one of the most interesting, or at least one of the most important for you, because you might not just play it for fun. You might also play it for the rewards. So clearing hard mode stages 7, 14 and 21 for the first time will provide a one-time reward on top of the usual yield. Finally, there are various prizes for the new Faction Wars challenges. You can expect shards, soul stones, skill tomes, and a mythical champion at the end of the chain, Polara Fireheart. So there is a new mythical champion, Polara Fireheart. We need to have a look at her and see how good she's gonna be. But taking in consideration that this is Faction Wars hard mode and it's gonna be super difficult to go through it and clear it and get this 3 stars, or at least how many. I think you will need 3 stars on pretty much every challenge to claim her. So she has to definitely be, I would say, at least broken, right? Matter of fact, now that we're talking about champions, you can get yourself Corrado and Supreme Gaelek, 2 free legendaries if you download the game using my link below. To get Supreme Gaelek, you need to put in the code Supreme6 in the first 72 hours in your promo codes menu. And then Uugo. Nice, no? 2 free legendaries, 1 S tier epic. Let's go. And then we also have Faction Wars relics. As mentioned above, you can loot relic crafting materials by beating hard mode crypt stages, and these will be needed to craft relics belonging to the new Faction Wars group. So we have Faction Wars relics for hard mode, well, not really for hard mode, better said from hard mode, and a new mythical champion. And in regards to the relics, there will be 8 relics in total, 2 rare, 2 epic, and 2 legendary, and 2 mythical as well. Pretty nice, that's pretty nice. I'll have to find the list with all these relics and maybe we can talk about them and see if they're really worth it. Any other news with this patch notes are some tweaks to the leaderboards. We're starting a closed test of the new leaderboards feature and will provide additional information when they are ready. Yes, because they announced leaderboards back in the day, a couple of weeks ago, right? So Let's see how that's gonna be. When they do, you'll be able to see the top 100 players for all arena modes, 6 dungeons, and the top 3 players who excel at all these. So from what you can see here, it seems that leaderboards are for people that have been in raid forever, for like, I don't know, since the game inception, for like 6 years, right? So if you've been playing 6 years of raid and you have a bunch of champions and you cleared pretty much everything, I'm looking forward to see you in the leaderboards. It's not like I'm gonna be in the leaderboards, but I would like to see who is gonna be in the leaderboards. Right, climbing to the top spots of these leaderboards will earn you new badges and avatar frames. So leaderboards are also giving you a small badge and avatar frame for your account. Not too bad. So you can show it off to your friends, right, or clan. Cool. And lastly, before we jump into reading the champions and seeing the new champions and see if they're any good, miscellaneous. Instant poison, HP burn activation effects will be reworked. Okay, does this sound good or bad? As of update 10.45, the damage inflicted will account for buffs, debuffs, and other effects that increase, decrease, or otherwise affect poison and HP burn. We'll add 100 unlockable slots to the champion. Oh, this is not related to, I thought this is related to the previous update. So, instant poison, HP burn activation effects. I do have a few HP burn champions on my account, and they're pretty good because they do maximum HP damage, right? I don't yet have a poison team, so I'm not sure. From what I've seen, there's quite a few crazy teams out there with poison and poison explosion. But we don't know what this means. They didn't really give us more on this. What do they mean by the damage inflicted will account for buffs, debuffs, and other effects that increase, decrease, or otherwise affect poison and HP burn? We'll have to wait and see for that. And lastly, for the last quality of life, I would say, update, we'll add 100 unlockable slots to the champion collection and 100 unlocked slots to the reserve vault. Okay, so more space in our stash for champions. For those who don't have enough space, right? This is one of these quality of life updates for those who've been in raid for a while. I still have a lot of space in my stash because I don't really have that many champions. And lastly, champions. Let's start with rebalanced champions. Why not? What's getting rebalanced? We have Galeos, Bloodcrest. One of the mythical champions is getting rebalanced. I've never really had this guy, so let's have a look at this really quick. In his first form, base form basically, he could place a provoke debuff for 1 turn. If the target is a boss, places a provoke debuff for 2 turns. Also places unkillable buff on this champion for 1 turn and counterattack buff on them for 2 turns. And then what's new? Attacks all enemies, same as before, places a debuff for 1 turn. If the target is a boss, places a debuff for 2 turns instead, so that's pretty much the same, right? Sounds the same, yeah. And then also places an unkillable buff on this champion for 1 turn and a counterattack buff on them for 2 turns. Damage multiplier increased. Right, so that's the same, but we got more damage, right? Okay, let's have a look at his second skill. Fully restores all allies destroyed max HP. Also places a revive on death buff and a 60% increased death buff on all allies for 2 turns. Fully restores all allies destroyed max HP. Oh, this is the same, but then they added this grants an extra turn. So basically he's getting an extra turn here. Nice, that's really good. Extra turns are always welcomed. And then for his second form, for his alternate form, let's have a look at that real quick. Attacks all enemies. Before attacking, places a decreased debuff for 2 turns. Damage increased by 10% for each enemy under decreased defense. Debuff also steals 20% of turn meter from each enemy. Oh, there is a few changes here. Attacks all enemies, that stays the same. Before attacking, that's the same as well. This effect cannot be resisted. Oh, that's interesting. We like this type of debuffs, right? Because they cannot be resisted, so he doesn't really need accuracy, I suppose, correct? Damage increased by 10% for each enemy under decreased debuff. Also steals 20% of the turn meter from each enemy, sorry. Damage multiplier increased, so more damage, and this effect cannot be resisted. This is nice, I like this. This champion is already getting stronger, but how much stronger? We need to see the damage multiplier in work, right? And let's have a look at his passive and his second skill. Attacks all enemies, damage increased by 15% for each buff on target. Decreases the duration of all enemy buffs by 2 turns. Okay. Ooh, this is quite a change. Attacks all enemies stays the same. Will ignore 20% of each target's defense if they have no buffs. Ignores block damage buffs. Ooh, this is crazy. Ignores block damage buff. So this guy shreds through your block damage buffs. I see a stitching coming. This guy might be very strong after the rebalance. Damage increased by 50% for each buff. This stays the same. Decrease the duration of all enemy buffs by 2 turns. This stays the same. But then damage multiplier increased. Oof, this champion is going to be very interesting. Very interesting, very, very interesting. Immune to a bunch of debuffs like stun, freeze, sleep, fear, blah, 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 blah. Also randomly resets the cooldown on one of this champion's turn whenever they kill an enemy. Oof, this champion is really, really getting a very, very huge rebalance. I never really had him before, and by what I can see here, from what I can read through the kit, he's going to do super well. Interesting. If you have this champion and you'll play him after the patch after the patch lands, please let me know in the comments below if this is super strong, because from what I can read here, this is really strong. Immunity to stuns, immunity to a bunch of other debuffs, extra turns, ignores defense when they attack, ignores block damage from now on. Sounds very strong, seriously. And then we have another rebalance for Norag. This is a legendary magic defense from Skinwalkers. I've never seen this guy before. Attacks one enemy, has 40% chance of placing a block active skill debuff. Attacks one enemy, 55% of decreasing the duration of all buffs on the target by 1 turn. Ooh, okay. Also has 80% chance of placing block active skill debuff for 1 turn. Interesting. Attacks all enemies, places a block buff debuff for 2 turn. Attacks all enemy, places a block buff debuff and a 60% decreased defense debuff for 2 turns. Ooh, so this guy is becoming a debuffer, right? Pretty interesting. And then for the thick skin, we have immune to stun, freeze, sleep. Decreases the damage taken by all allies that are under 1 or more buffs by 15%. Decreases the damage taken by all allies that are under no active buffs by 25%. But what's the change here? Immune to... oh, they added quite a few debuffs there. So stun, freeze, sleep, fear, true fear, and provoke. Sheep as well, and petrification. Ooh, this is interesting. He cannot be sheeped, so this guy might be versatile in arena from now on. Decreases the damage taken by all allies by 7.5%. This stays the same. And if you ascend this, let's have a look at that. Decreases the damage taken by all allies that are under 1 or more buffs by 15%. Decreases the damage taken. This is pretty much the same. So they've added a bunch of other debuffs that this guy is going to be immune to. Okay, not super strong rebalance. Compared to Galio's Bloodcrest, this is quite insane. It's time to see the new champions. Let's have a look at Polara Fireheart, because oof, this is going to be the new mythical that you can claim if you can finish Hard Wars Faction Wars, hard mode Faction Wars. And this better be worth it. This better be worth it, man. Do we have we do. We opened quite a few tabs here. Hell Hades says that she's gonna be a 5-star overall rating. And if we scroll down here, it seems that she's gonna be a 5-star in pretty much everywhere in the game, besides Scarab King and a few situational challenges. Okay. And she is going to be looking like this. Let's have a look at this champion. Quite interesting. I like her kit a lot. I like her armor, big sword, and the fireball. So she's a mage warrior, right? And then her alternate form. Oh, interesting. A even bigger sword and a shield now. And she's all frosty. Right, quite cool. I like that a lot. Very, very intense change in forms. You have like a normal... I don't know, a fire warrior, and then all of a sudden winter is coming. Let's have a look at her skills. We have what we see. Burning Zeal. First skill, attacks one enemy, places an extra hit if the target is under any debuffs. Has a 25% chance of granting an extra turn. Interesting. Normal basic plus an extra turn. That's always good. When we see extra turns, that's good. 25% chance, and her first book would give her 20% damage. No chance on increasing the chance of granting the extra turn. Anyway, second skill. Attacks one enemy 3 times, so again attacks only one enemies. Each hit will ignore 25%, ignore target defense, that's good. Each hit will ignore 50% of the target's defense instead if the target is under HP burn debuff or freeze debuff. So you will be able to do true damage. You get 50% off from here and then 50% off from relics and masteries. This can be booked to 20% more damage and -1 cooldown. Each hit has also destroys the target defense and resistance by 3%, stacks up to 30%. Ooh, she might be good in long fight bosses. She decreases defense by up to 30%. And then places an HP burn debuff on all not allies, what am I talking about? On all enemies for 2 turns. If the target is killed by this skill, oh wait, I can't read. Places a HP debuff on all enemies for 2 turns. If the target is killed by this skill. So she doesn't really place an HP burn unless she kills somebody. That's not too good in bosses, right? Let's have a look at her third skill, which is an AoE attack. This attacks all enemies. And this attack deals single target damage to each target individually. Oh, this is an AoE attack, but it does single target damage. This is interesting. Rather than an AoE damage. Will ignore shield, block damage, and unkillable buffs. Oof, another interesting mythical that ignores shield, block damage, and unkillable buffs. This is even stronger than Gallius. Gallius only will ignore block damage buffs. Okay, and if you book this, it gets 20% damage and -1 cooldown. So this will be on 3 turns, possibly. Places a block revive debuff on targets that are killed while under a HP burn debuff or a freeze debuff. Ooh, nice. She's also doing... Oh, I've skipped the middle. Instantly activates any HP burn debuffs on all enemies. Well, she's gonna be very squishy to play. You will definitely need an HP burner in the team. And probably an AoE HP burner, like Mordecai, right? So you apply AoE on everybody. And then if you use this skill, she's going to activate the HP burn debuffs on all enemies, ignore all shields, unkillable and block damage, and also block revive on targets that are killed under this HP burn debuff. Very strong. I can see her doing very, very well everywhere, seriously. I'm not sure about Demon Lord, 4.5 stars. But she's definitely good in Hydra, waves. Yeah, I like this. This is pretty accurate. Arena, yeah, 5 stars definitely. She can kill everybody and then obviously nobody can revive, right, because of the skill. Interesting. But she'll have to be second. You'll have to have your HP burner go first and apply HP burn on everyone. And then possibly if she's full attack, full damage deal, she might be able to kill at least half of the team and then they won't be able to revive. Interesting. Let's have a look at her passive. This champion deals 25% more damage against enemies under HP... Oh wow, even more damage. Under HP burn debuff or freeze debuff. This champion deals 100% more damage against enemies under both HP burn and freeze debuffs. Oh, she's gonna be insane. I can see it. This champion ignores the damage reduction granted by freeze debuffs. Yeah, she's gonna be insane. Increases ally attack in arena battles by 40%. Also good aura for go second teams. Yeah, she's interesting. So basically, if you have an HP burner and someone else that can apply freeze, they go first, then she goes third, and probably you might have another support coming in hot fourth, or she can go last, and then you have an HP burner that goes first, another guy that freezes the whole map, and then possibly a third support that applies... Is she attack? She is attack. And is the damage dealt in regards to attack? It doesn't really say here. But I suppose so. She might be an attack based damage champion. And then you have someone else who buffs the attack. Very strong. I think she's gonna be broken. In her first base form, she definitely is broken if you do all the things that I was talking about. But then let's have a look at the alternate form. I don't know, man. First form is super strong. What about alternate form? Attacks one enemy, singular, places a 50% ally protection buff. Oh, she's becoming a a tank maybe? Places a 50% ally protection buff on a random ally. Random. Except this champion for 2 turns. If the randomly selected ally is already under ally protection buff, places it on another randomly selected ally. Heals this champion and any allies under ally protection buffs. The value of the heal is proportional to this champion's defense. Wait a minute. I thought she's gonna be an attack-based champ. Is she gonna be a defense-based champ? Damage 20%, heal 20%. Can we see that here? We can't really see that here, right? No, it doesn't show it. Let's get back to her kit. So we have ally protection and heal for champions under ally protection. Heal by 20% booked, damage 20% booked. Okay, second skill, Frozen Tendrils. Places a block debuff buff and a 20% strengthen buff on all allies for 2 turns. Block debuffs, strengthen, that's good. And then places 100% ensnare debuff on all enemies for 2 turns. This debuff cannot be resisted by enemies under HP burn or a freeze debuff. Cooldown -1 booked. So we have a new debuff here, ensnare. Can we Google that? Ensnare. Raid debuff. What is that doing? Oh, we found it. Ensnare. Any turn meter increase effects received by a champion with its ensnare debuff will be reduced by 50 or 100%. Okay, so no turn meter control for champions under ensnare. Okay, that's interesting. I can see her second form doesn't really talks to me that much compared to her first form, because I'm always for champions that deal a bunch of damage. But who knows, there might be some interesting stuff here still. Iceblade Tempest attacks all enemies, AoE attack. Before attacking, places 1 intercept. Ooh, interesting. On all allies. So she cannot be sheeped if you use her in arena. Places a freeze debuff on all enemies for 1 turn. Only 1 turn, freeze debuff. So you cannot really use her first form with second form to apply both HP burn and freeze. I see. So you do need an HP burner. She's gonna be your HP burner. So you have an HP burner, you need a champion that freezes, and then you have a support and possibly a reviver, or maybe another damage dealer or another support, so she dishes out as much damage as possible. Yeah, I can see that happening. And then for her passive in second form, allies under a freeze debuff receives 90% less damage. That's a passive. And then the active, once per round, revives each ally. Once per round? Wow. Wait a minute. Once per round, revives each ally, including this champion with 100% HP. Places a freeze debuff on the revived ally for 1 turn. This debuff cannot be resisted or blocked. What do you mean once per round? Is that like once per fight? She can be your reviver. She revives herself. How does this work? Once per round revives each ally, including this champion with 100% HP. We'll have to wait and see. She sounds very interesting. I'll definitely not put my hands on her because I haven't even finished easy mode Faction Wars. But I'd like to see someone who finished that, and I want to see her in live arena. I want to see some action. I'll definitely look up some of these content creators that have been in the game for a long time. I want to see how they're playing her because she sounds very interesting, seriously. Okay, next up on the list, Niamhe, Spear of Nerissa. This is another new champion. We can see she's going to be 4.5, or at least she's been rated, overall rated to a 4.5 stars. That would be including arena and other areas of the game. She's going to be good in Demon Lord. Interesting. Let's have a look at her. This is how she's going to be looking like. Sylvan Watchers. She does look a bit like pretty much everyone in this faction. A bunch of green armor and spears and feathery helmets. Yeah, I can see that. And what does she do? Is she going to be strong or is she going to be so-so? She's going to be a void defense legendary champion. Let's have a look at this. Attacks one enemy. Places a 50% decreased attack debuff and a 30% decreased critical rate debuff on the target for 2 turns. Only one target. 50% chance that these debuffs cannot be resisted or blocked. Okay, and if you book this, the buff debuff chance increases by 10%, damage by 15, and again 15% buff debuff chance. So this is going to be 55%. Also with a 50% chance of these debuffs to cannot be resisted. Let's have a look at her second skill. Attacks one enemy. If the target has 50% HP or less, this attack is always critical. Oh wow, okay, and will ignore 50% of the target's defense, so she's gonna deal some sort of damage here. Places a shield buff on all allies for 2 turns, interesting. The value of shield is equal to the difference between the target's current HP and the target's max HP. If the target is boss, the value of shield is proportional to this champion's defense. If the target is killed, also reduces the cooldown of all allies' kills by 2 turns. Ooh, that's cool. She's gonna control cooldown reduction, but she needs to kill someone with this skill. I can see her shine in some wave content, and she's also healing. Heal all allies. The value of the heal is proportional to this champion's defense. So she also places shields and heals. That's strong. Yeah, she's quite strong, yeah. Also places a block debuff buff and 50% ally protection buff on all allies. Ooh, she's super strong. Wait a minute. Yeah, she's super strong. I can see her be very doable, especially with block debuffs, ally protection, heals. So she has it all. Seriously, she has heals, she has block debuffs, and she has ally protection. What is this champion? This is very interesting. And then for her passive, places block damage buff on all allies for 1 turn at the start of the round. And each time this champion HP drops below 50%, ooh, she's super strong. She is super strong. It has been decided. Yes. Block damage, block debuffs, ally protection, heals. What is she missing? She's also placing shield and decrease attack. Very strong against bosses. You might be able to do an unkillable clone boss with her. We'll have to wait and see how this functions. Interesting. Let's have a look at the second champion here, because we've been talking so much about this first things, and we still have 2 champions to go through. And that is, one of them, legendary spirit attack dwarves. We have a new dwarf, Uzol of the Jade. This guy here. Let's have a look at his appearance. The usual dwarfy appearance. A bunch of clothes, a bunch of stuff on him. I like his mace. Is this a mace? I don't know what is this. Interesting weapon. I like this JD armor. He looks cool. He looks pretty cool. But let's see how good he is. Attacks one enemy. 20% chance of granting an extra turn. Ooh. If this attacks kills an enemy, grants an extra turn. I already see this guy being pretty good in bosses. Ooh, second skill. Attacks all enemies. Before attacking, reduces the value of any shield buffs. Oh, this is strong against go second teams. Interesting. By 100%. So this guy basically deletes the shield before attacking. Very strong. And places a 60% decreased defense debuff. 2 turns. This effect cannot be resisted if this skill was used on an extra turn. Has 20% chance of granting an extra turn. Wait a minute. This chance is increased by 10% for each critical hit. Ooh. So if you build this guy on critical chance, you give him 100% critical chance, right? Then you have a chance to get an extra turn on his A1. A chance to get an extra turn on his A2. Don't tell me he's getting extra turns on his other skills as well. Attacks one enemy, will ignore shield, block damage, and unkillable buffs. Very strong in arenas. I can see why he had 5 stars on Hell Hades. Also ignores stone skin buffs. Wait, what? Ignores stone skin buffs and 100% of the target's defense if this skill was used on an extra turn or an instant turn. And then as for the passive, increases the chance for all allies to get an extra turn by 5%. What the heck is this champion? This champion deals 25% more damage on extra turns. Wow. I can see this champion being very naughty in arenas. He's getting 10% increased chance for each critical. And this attacks all enemies. So you can increase your crit, not your crit, sorry. You can increase your chance of getting an extra turn by 40%. You attack 4 enemies, you have 40% chance because you're gonna crit on all 4. And then you have 20 plus 40, 60% chance to get an extra turn. And you have another basic, and then you have another skill that ignores stone skin, block damage, unkillable, and shield. Very strong against go second teams. I like him a lot. I want to see this. He's also dealing 25% more damage on extra turns. And he's also giving a chance for all allies to gain an extra turn by 5%. So basically, if he includes himself as well, he's going to have an extra 5% on top of his already 20% on his A1, 60% on his A2. Yeah, his A3 doesn't really give him an extra turn. But it does ignore a bunch of debuffs, a bunch of buffs, like stone, skin, block damage, and unkillable. Very strong champion. I want to see him in arena so bad now that I saw his kit. And lastly, our last champion, before we wrap the video up. Praeva the Slitherer. Very disgusting name. 4.5 stars on Hell Hades. This is not what I wanted to see. I wanted to see how she looks. And this is how she looks. She's a demon spawn. No wonder why her name is so disgusting. Force Support Legendary. First attack. Attacks one enemy. Transfer all debuffs from this champion to the target. Okay, that's cool. This effect cannot be resisted if this champion is under 3 or more debuffs. Okay, she transfers all the debuffs if she's under debuffs. If she's under 3 or more debuffs, this cannot be resisted, so basically she would not need too much accuracy. Oh, she's also healing. Heals all allies by 20% of this champion's max HP, so she's a healer support. Places a 60% increased defense buff and speed. I like that. She is already strong just by increasing 30% speed on all allies. This is on 5% on 5 turn cooldown. Booked, is it going down to 3 turns? If this is on 3 turns, this is super strong. 60% increased defense, 25% heal, and increased speed. Very strong. Ooh, she also revives. Revives a single ally with 100% HP and 50% turn meter. 50% turn meter is irrelevant. If it would have been 100%, it would have been having some relevancy. Fully resets the cooldown of all of their skills. So the champion that's getting revived is coming back with no cooldowns on their skills. Okay, that's cool. And this is on 6 turn cooldown and can be booked to -2 turns on cooldown. Would that be 4 turns? 4 turns revive a single ally? Not too bad. Let's look at her passive. At the start of this champion's turn, transfers 1 debuff from each ally to this champion. But it does not transfer stun, sleep, freeze, provoke, fear, true fear, petrification, or sheep. So if your team is getting debuffed a lot, she transfers 1 debuff from each ally on herself, and then she can basically transfer it back from herself to the enemy. If she transfers 3 debuffs, this cannot be resisted. So she doesn't need accuracy. Okay, that's good. What else? This effect cannot be resisted or blocked. Ah, okay, so the transfer cannot be blocked anyway. Turn meter control, increase speed, increase defense, heal, revive. Super strong in bossing. I can see that happening. At the end of this champion's turn, fills the turn meter of all allies by 10% and an additional of 2% for each debuff on this champion. What's the rating on bosses here? 4.5 stars. Yeah guys, this wraps it up. This was a very long video and very technical with a bunch of numbers and a bunch of skills and a bunch of stuff going into. But let me know what you think about the new champions. And also, please let me know in the comments below for how long have you been playing Raid and if you finished Faction Wars. I'm super curious how many people will go for Faction Wars hard and how many will actually get Polara, because she's quite insane. Her base form, very good damage dealer. Her alternate form, very good defense champion. So she's gonna be good in both go first teams or go second. We'll see about that. Not only that, but also these other 3 champions, Uzol, Niamhe, and Praeva. They sound interesting. I like Uzol a lot. I also like Niamhe a lot. They're interesting. I like Uzol mostly because he seems to be a very broken champion in arena. And for me, if I would have the chance to get him, it would be a very big upgrade to my teams. My arena teams suck. Anyway guys, this was the video. Quite long and boring, probably. Probably not, if you're interested in patch notes. I will end it here and I'll see you in the next one. Take care. Bye bye.